Hey guys, how you doing today? I got my little sleepy pug right here. Oh man. Um I think I'll just jump into what I want to talk about. There's a lot of talk about restart the economy going on. Restart the economy is pretty obvious to me that what you have 25% of the populace believes that we should restart the economy. That's one in four people. One in four people think that we should just keep things moving. Now, uh, this is a position that I have absolutely no problem calling a big signal that you're part of a death cult. If you're actually going to stand up and you're actually going to say in the middle of a pandemic, let's restart this economy, uh, you're a death cultist. Sorry to say, if you're watching this and you're going, no, John, we need to restart the economy, you've drank the Kool-Aid. Everything you believe is wrong. You need to stop right now. You need to consider the livelihood and the lives of the people around you. The next time you go to a grocery store, take a really hard look at that, what you call essential worker, and understand that what they're doing is sacrificing themselves, putting their lives in danger so that you can have the basic necessities. And asking somebody to do the same so that you can go to the movies or get your hair cut is selfish. It's selfish and pedantic, and you need to get over yourself real fast. If you're honestly going to tell me that people should put their lives at risk so that you can go buy some toys. I work in a toy store, right? And if you honestly were to tell me, let's get all those old people, let's get those grandmas back in to go buy some toys, you're part of a death cult. You're asking people to sacrifice their lives so that a little line can go up. And so that billionaires can put a little bit more money in their bank accounts offshore and not contribute to society in a meaningful way. I have a pretty massive problem with this idea. Like, it's a pandemic. We're in the middle of a pandemic. And there's this real, like, people are real sweethearts, right? They really hope that this is going to be like, okay, COVID deaths went up, and then it's going to crest, and it's going to go back down, and everything's going to be fine again. And that's what they want to see, right? They want to see something like that. And so what they're seeing is it's gone up, and then it's kind of plateaued, right? And then, it went down a little bit. Oh, sure, it went back up, but it looks like it's plateaued. This is as bad as it's going to get, they think, right? Now, if you think like that, you might not be part of the death cult. You might just be a wishful thinker, right? You might actually just be sitting there being like, oh, this is actually going to stop now. It's plateaued, right? And it's going to go back down for sure, and then everything will end. So we might as well get back to it. This is the worst it will ever get. The best historical analogy we have in recent history is the Spanish influenza. The COVID-19 virus, while not the Spanish influenza, operates very similarly in terms of how it spreads through the populace. We know for a fact that we are at the peak. We are currently at the peak of the first wave, okay? We're currently at the peak of the first wave. What happened to societies that reached this peak where everyone kind of split themselves up and all this? What happened to them after they reopened and they restarted the economy? Well, there was a crest and it did go down, right? It happened, and it bottomed down and everything seemed fine. And so they reopened the economy and everything went along as normal. And then the disease, the Spanish influenza, ramped right back up and killed 10 times the amount it had previously in Wave 2. Wave 2 was 10 times worse than Wave 1. And one of the large contributing factors was that people looked at each other and said, well, let's just reopen the economy. I don't believe that they were mainly death cultists. I think that lots of them were just sort of clueless and hopeful. We are not clueless. We know what's happening. We have historical precedent. We have evidence. We have medical professionals. And we have scientists, all of whom are saying this economy is not going to open up. The death toll in the United States, what they're doing and what they're experiencing, is going to be a monument. It's going to be a monument to the failure of capitalism. That the leadership in the United States has been so inept and so slow and so unwilling to actually do what's necessary to help people in the midst of a pandemic, that it is actually possible that we are going to experience this COVID-19 crisis for years. Not years. And the nature of how viruses work, viruses don't care about borders, right? Viruses don't care about any of that. If someone goes from the United States to here, they're going to be able to transmit that disease. So unless we have a complete closed borders policy with the United States, which we don't, it's always going to be around. And it will be around until we have some kind of vaccine, until there's some sort of cure developed, until there's some kind of immunity that we can create. We've been reminded over and over again, the herd immunity argument is not going to work. It's not going to work. There is even evidence that people who have caught COVID-19 once can catch it again. So it's not even following that rule that we're all sort of familiar with, that if you catch a disease once, you don't get it again. COVID-19 seems to go against that. And if that's the case, then this really is a situation where we can pass it back and forth to each other ad nauseum. It really is a pretty bad situation we find ourselves in. And the largest economy with the largest military on the planet isn't taking it seriously at all. Workers have to go back to work because they've run out of money in order to buy food and shelter for themselves, when the solution is right in front of them. Pass a basic income, or just make food and shelter free, right? Take your pick. Like, either everyone stops paying rent and they can just go into a grocery store and take the food, or you provide people with the little promissory notes that they need in order to shuffle them amongst one another and pretend like that all mattered. So you gotta kind of pick your poison on that one. You have to make a decision. And the States is not, right? They've forked over trillions of dollars to the billionaire class, whose wealth has just skyrocketed in the midst of all this. And of course, the billionaires are going to 100% use the money that they have been given to buy up cheap assets, which will only widen and solidify their power, as well as widen the income inequality gap. And then the wealthy have been, like, if you're a millionaire in the States, you got $1 million. And then if you're a worker, you got a one-time $1,200 check that they expect you to pay back. It's going to be absolute devastation. Already we're approaching 100,000 deaths. It is going to get there. Because this, honestly, we're only at the peak of the first wave. The Spanish influenza was around for 2 years. It was a long period of time. And I know that people are not being serious. And I know that people want to be hopeful. I understand all that. But the reality is that we need to be more grown up than this. We need to be having grown up, serious conversations. And if you are standing up and you are saying, hey, let's restart the economy, you're not being serious. You're at best naive, at worst, you're in a death cult. And I know definitely, I'm very aware that people down in the States, there are definitely people who absolutely are fine with sacrificing the lives of others so that they can personally make money. It's a vicious position to take, and one that we should fight tooth and nail against. Because I would rather stand here and say, oh yeah, maybe we overreacted, than say, I told you so. All right, I guess this one's going to be a short one. I hope you guys are doing well out there. Love your friends and family, hug the people who are around you. Good luck.